Today we're going to be installing a set of intake scoops on my wife's E70 X5M. These were sent out to me by New Jersey Bimmers. He commented on one of my videos and said, hey, you should check out my intake scoops. I talked to him back and forth a little bit, and he sent me out a pair for free to test out and share with you guys. So this is a sponsored video, but I will try to stay as unbiased as possible. But first impressions are really good. Everything comes individually packaged in these nice little baggies. It's very organized, telling you which scoops goes on which side, which was one of my complaints about a previous modification I received. So it's pretty much foolproof, and the scoops look really nicely made, very professional. It's something that I wouldn't feel embarrassed to have on the car. Scoops are an extremely common upgrade on the E60 M5. It's usually one of the first modifications that most people do to those cars. It's very low-hanging fruit, easy to install, they're pretty cheap. But this is the first I heard of them for the E70. I don't really necessarily think it needs the scoops. Because it's turbocharged, I don't know how much it's going to help because the car is already sucking in as much air as it can. But helping the turbos out a little bit can't hurt, especially in that gap between when the turbos actually start to build boost. They might help a little bit. If nothing else, they definitely won't hurt. They're very lightweight. They're only going to add maybe a pound on the front of the car, so it's not any sort of detriment. But scooping up a little bit of extra cold air is always good. It'll also help when the engine is not really trying hard. So when you're cruising on the interstate, it should actually help with your fuel economy just a little bit by making it a little bit easier on the engine to actually take in air. So as you can probably tell if you're familiar with the E70 at all, these sit just below where the airbox horns come around and go onto the core support, and it'll just hang down into the grill area. Because these are black, you won't be able to see them at all, but they do offer them in different colors. And of course, you could get them in one of their colors and then paint them whatever you want to match your car. But I believe they offer them in red, blue, and neon green. But New Jersey Bimmers also carries a bunch of other BMW products. They are really big into the N54, N55 market. But they also sent me out this X5M keychain and an X5M air freshener for the car. So they've got a lot of different little BMW things. So definitely go check them out. Even if you don't have an E70, they might have something for your BMW model. So we'll go ahead and install these on the car. Now, I didn't know these came with hardware. I thought they were just going to be held in place because those little intake horns press down on the core support pretty well. I might just use a double-sided tape instead of drilling a hole in the car, but we'll see once we get in there. If you're changing out your air filters or you're already working in that area, this should take no time at all. And even if you are having to just do this by itself, I'd say this should take you less than 10 minutes to just pop everything out of the way. So let's go ahead and hop under the hood and we will get started. Removing the airbox on the E70 X5M is actually really easy. There are 3 little pop pins on the front here, where it's a little barb going through a rubber grommet, and 2 worm gear clamps that are going to be holding down the hoses going to the turbos, and those are going to require a 6mm nut driver. So I've got those loosened and the 3 pins popped out, and you can just slide the entire airbox assembly out of the way. Now we've got our access here. We can see these are the 2 areas where we're going to be putting in our vents, so we'll zoom in on that. So these vents are going to hang down here into the grills and scoop air directly up into the intake instead of having it pulled in by the engine. Now we are going to be blocking this cooler up here a little bit, but it's still got a ton of surface area, so I'm not overly concerned about that. But you can see the scoops just drop right into place. So they fit perfectly, and really I don't necessarily think they would need any sort of actual mechanical hardware, so I'm just going to use the double-sided tape. It comes with 2 pieces of double-sided tape per side, so you've got a smaller piece and a larger piece, which smaller piece goes on the outside, inside gets the larger piece, and of course it does come with that hardware. I don't really want to drill any holes in this and worry about the hardware. I think the double-sided tape will be fine, especially considering this is already going to be held down by the airbox. And of course, if it ever becomes an issue, I can go ahead and throw that hardware in there. So we'll go ahead and get these taped down. I'll throw the airbox on and we will see how they look. And just like that, we now have our scoops permanently installed. So they are held in place nicely with the double-sided tape. And then of course, if you're really concerned about it, you could put the hardware in. It'd be really simple to just drill a couple holes and add it on there, which honestly, I might just go ahead and do. I'm not overly concerned about 4 little tiny holes in the core support affecting the resale value. And if we come down a little bit, you can see the 2 scoops sitting here inside the grills. You still see we have a ton of room back here to this heat exchanger that sits behind them, so I'm not too worried about that blocking any flow. But it should nicely scoop air up into the intakes for us and just help us a little bit at speed. I like that they're black. They blend into this whole area. You'll never even know they're there. But if it's something you do want to be seen, like I said, they offer it in other colors, and you could paint it any color that you'd like. So we now have the airbox reinstalled, and you can see how these almost look like they're part of the airbox. It's just a nice continuation of that scoop that comes down. So I do think these will be really nice, especially at speed. It's a very simple, cheap, and as best as I can tell, functional modification, so I'm really happy with it. Normally, I would make something like this myself because it's a pretty easy, just folding up some metal and a few different tack welds and painting it up and you're already done. But for the $80 they're asking, I really think this is just a good, go ahead and order it, throw it on your car, be done in 10 minutes. If you can afford an X5M, you can afford $80 for a pair of scoops. And I really think you're gonna have to make it multiple times to get ones that fit as nicely and easily as these do. So of course, if you have any questions about them, feel free to drop those down below. I'll have a link down at the bottom for New Jersey Bimmers for where you can buy these. Of course, they help me out with the video, so it'd be great if you guys could help them out with some sales. But yeah, I'm really happy with them, and I have no issue recommending them for your E70 X5M. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, you drop those down below, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next week.